I said, don't it make you feel so helpless? Sometimes it make you feel so lost. Your love's all I got, baby. The things I thought I'd never say, you're pouring from my heart like la 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 la. Pouring out of my heart. Sha la 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 la. Oh 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 oh. La la la. Thank you.
That's Connor Christian, everybody. Man, great song. Great song.
Thanks, man.
All right, so while you got your smarty pants phones out, go ahead and like Southern Gothic's Instaface, because lots of tours and a brand new record coming in 2019, so that's exciting. Ray Stevenson, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
Been a while, man. Ray and I have played together at the Bluebird a couple times, I guess, at least once.
Yeah.
I think a couple times. Ray is not only a well-published songwriter, but he's also just an amazing painter. I mean, the visual art that you come out with is fantastic, too. I'm so envious of that. I've got about a half a talent, and I think you've got 3 fully realized. But at any rate, also an author, so we'll talk about all of that. How long have you been in Nashville?
20, 21 years, something, 98, whatever that is, 20. Yeah.
So we've been here about the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So, Ray, you've been prolific. You've taken well advantage of those 20 years. And how? I don't have a current tally, but just to give us an idea, how many cuts do you have on major label releases? Approximately.
About 50.
About 50 cuts, y'all, on major label releases, and we're talking big names here. Give me the top 3 names that you're proudest of as far as your cuts go.
Willie Nelson.
The Willie Nelson?
Yeah.
Willie Nelson.
Chris Christopherson.
What?
And Merle Haggard.
All right, I think that bears repeating. Some of the best songwriters, the best country songwriters in the world, Merle Haggard, Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, have seen fit to cover Ray Stevenson songs. I think that's pretty dang cool, huh? Whew. I would be so insufferably braggadocious if that was me.
I know, I feel like bragging now. I feel like I'm bragging now.
You're the most humble guy in the world. I would be insufferable if even one of those guys had coffee with me,
right.
much
Yeah.
less cover
guess
one of
what
my
I
songs.
did.
You know?
You want to hear about what I did?
You know Willie cut my song, right? I mean, every 5.
You told me that 22 times already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at any rate, this man is not only extremely successful and talented, but very humble as well, and never ceases to amaze me. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this book?
Okay. Well, I didn't write this book. Lee asked me if I would speak about it, and I've never spoken publicly about this, so I want this to come off sincere and not like it's not religious or not like I'm not like proselytizing. But about 10 years ago, somebody gave me a copy of this book. It's called the Tao Te Ching. It's a little book of Chinese wisdom. And basically, it like changed everything for my creative process. It changed everything in my life in a really positive way. Basically, nature itself is the wisest of all. It's been around longer than anything, and it's sort of contains everything. And most of us is made of water. You know, the earth is mostly water. We're mostly water. And so this little book describes basically the rules of water. And when you can start to think kind of like water does, then you're thinking more like nature does. And so all your thoughts become more natural. And once you start to understand it, you understand that everything is like water. Songwriting is like water. It's either flowing or it's not flowing. Painting is definitely fluid. You know, everything is energy, and they didn't have the word energy back then, so they use water, which is a good way to kind of think about energy. Lee and I were talking one night about painting or whatever, and I told her, I was like, you got to get this book and read it. So it's like 81 verses, and they're all like little paradoxes, which means they sound backwards. One of them says, the softest always overcomes the hard. And you think, when does that ever happen where the soft overcomes the hard? But the softest thing in nature is water, and water will cut through a diamond with enough time. So water is patient, and water is steady. And, you know, so when you read one of these verses and it doesn't make sense to you, that is actually an aspect of nature and of life that doesn't make sense to you. So if you read something and it sounds backwards, then it kind of goes back into your subconscious, and then 6 months later you're driving down the road and all of a sudden boom, it's like, oh, I know how to make that work. And if you can make it work with your golf swing, then you can make it work with when your kid's misbehaving at home or something. Like it really. So anyway, it's called the Tao Te Ching, and Lee was nice enough to buy several copies down here. I'm going to give them away for whoever's interested. Let's see. I'll read one. I mean, it's really heavy, like really, it's the deepest shit I've ever, like, really come across, where sometimes it doesn't even mean anything until you've had time to, like, digest it. But this is just a random page here. You seek the way, but see it not. It is called colorless. You listen, but hear it not. It's called soundless. You would grasp it, but you cannot touch it. It is called bodiless. These three qualities cannot be expressed in words, therefore they are taken together, and it is called the One. The higher part is not manifest. Its lower part is not hidden. It is eternal. It cannot be named. It returns to the unmanifested. It is called the formless form, the imageless image. This is not the one that I was, I'm on the one page over. Sorry, that was even confusing to me. Okay, yeah, this was the page. Seek emptiness of self, seek stillness. All things manifest themselves and then return. When a plant has blossomed, it returns to the root. The return to the root is called stillness. That stillness may be called a reporting that it has fulfilled its task. The reporting of fulfillment is the immemorial rule. To know the immemorial rule is to be wise. To ignore it leads to impetuous and evil motions. To know the immemorial rule brings power and forbearance. Power and forbearance bring compassion. Compassion brings a kingly heart. He who is king-like grows heaven-like. Through likeness to heaven, he possesses the way. Possessing the way, he is eternal. His powers will never fail. So, like a rose, when a rose blossoms, that's its job, to blossom. And a rose blossoming is like a songwriter finishing a great song or painting a great painting. And then after it blossoms, then the energy goes all the way back to the root to start the whole process over again. So like half of being a songwriter is not writing songs. It's the yin yang is the philosophy. So it's like a way of thinking. So when you think about being creative, you also have to think about not being creative so that you can be creative, because you can't be creative all the time. You can try to be creative all the time, which is what almost all of us do, because we need to make money and there's stress and ego and you want to get forward. But the blossoming happens on its own. The real job is to go back to the root and get out of your own damn way, really. So I'll be shaking everybody's hand at the back of the door when we leave here, like the preacher.
That's really cool, man.
I expect somebody to invite me over for fried chicken. So anyway, like I said, I've never spoke about that, but this is something that like, it didn't just take me one level forward. It took me like 25 levels forward. Just because I realized that everything that I was doing in my life, I was working as hard as I could and beating it as hard as I could, but I was beating it in the dumbest way you could beat it. You know, it's like, if something doesn't work, like water doesn't just sit there and knock, it just sort of flows around and finds another way. And always looking for an easier way to get around something is like one of the things that I do now. You can get into any nightclub in the world if you scope it out and really look at it from every angle. You know, you may never be able to get in the front door, but there's some guy that washes dishes that comes outside and smokes a cigarette every 10 minutes. And, you know, for the price of a cigarette, you can slip right in somewhere. So
that's fascinating.
That's it.
I remember the first time we hung out together in your studio. You were telling me about this process, and I'm ashamed of myself that I haven't read this book yet, because you told me about this more than a year ago. But I remember, like I said, Ray's not only a musician and songwriter, he's a painter as well. But just to kind of further that analogy of water, he was telling me about how this had changed your process, whereby if you're working on a painting and you feel like you're stuck, you just put down the brush and go either work on another painting in another room or pick up your guitar. And because water, to be like water, in that if water is rolling down a ravine, if there's a rock in the way, it just goes right around it. It doesn't think about the impediment. It's just like, well, I'll just go this way then. I'm water. I can go wherever I want, right? And if you treat your creative flow that way, then you don't hit a block. You just hit a change of direction. Go, well, I'll work on this one for a little while.
Right. Yeah, the biggest thing that changed with the just physical process was, instead of working on one painting, I work on like 15 at a time. And if I have an idea for a painting, then that's an idea for a whole series of paintings. Because if I wanted to paint an Indian, I have an idea of like what I want it to look like. But as I'm working on it, I'll have an idea for, well, what if it would look like this? So then I'll start one like that, or it may be 15 paintings that aren't even related to each other. Or being a songwriter is not working on a song; it's working on like 20 songs. You have like 20 songs started. That way, if you feel that songwriting energy, and you, like you said, you get stuck on one, there's 24 other ones that need something that you can go look at. And a lot of times if you come over here and you fix this song, you go, oh, that's just what this song needs. So then you come back and you always have something to do. I always have something to do when I wake up in the morning. If I feel inspired, I have 15 paintings that are in some stage, and I have 15 or 20 songs that are in some stage. But if I don't feel creative, then I go pay my bills or go to the post office and go do those things.
You got 15 bills to pay.
Right, right. So there again, it's allowing yourself to get out of your creative place, because that's what ramps it up when you get back into it.
That's fascinating. I'm glad you're here tonight and reminded me of that because it's good timing for me and a lot of us. Going into winter, I know, is a really reflective and pensive time for a lot of us, and that's when I do a lot of my writing. I'm so happy that you're here to remind me of this whole concept, and I hope you have enough books for me to grab one of those as well. Yeah. How about play us a song?
All right. This is one I wrote last year. A couple of friends of mine. I have a friend who lives in Atlanta, and he was eating in this steak restaurant bar one night, and he met this guy at the bar, and they became friends. And it turns out the guy that he met is Gladys Knight's brother, the last living Pip. And he told my buddy that they were getting ready to make another record, so we sent him a CD with some songs on it, and Gladys really likes this one, so I have my fingers crossed that I might have a Gladys Knight and the Pips cut, which would be cool for my dad because he's a big Gladys Knight fan. So you never know, like who will find your song or. It's good. It's good. We're all the same with different names, looking for love through joy and pain, all flesh and bone, all headed home. Don't even know we're not alone, links in the chain. We're all the same. We're black and we're white, wrong and we're right, strong and we're weak, proud and we're meek. We lose and we win, saints yet we sin. We give and we take, we bend and we break, but we'll know someday. We're all the same. We're all in this together, through a mother's eyes. What difference do you hear when a baby cries? We're all the same, no one to blame, all going back from where we all came. Waves on the sea, dissolve in the deep. Woman and man, like grains of sand, through winds of change. We're all the same. We're all the same.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That's Ray Stevenson, y'all. Anthony Crane.
How are you, sir?
I like that ATL hat.
Thank you.
So Anthony and I just met Friday night and got to hear him play a set of his tunes, and was very impressed with your singing and playing, man.
Thank you.
Fantastic stuff.
Thank you, man.
So we're new friends, but you do live in the ATL, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Atlanta for you know, not so hip folks. We call it the ATL down there sometimes. At any rate, yeah, Atlanta's a great scene. I mean, you got, obviously huge hip hop world going on there.
It's a crazy
Huge
scene, man.
blues and jam bands and pop rock and I mean bluegrass, all sorts of stuff
I
going
feel
on.
like it's an underrated music scene, in my opinion.
I agree.
But also, like my friends who are professional musicians in Atlanta, they're like, "Don't tell anybody. Like, we don't want to move in here. It'll turn into Nashville."
Oh, heaven forbid. No, it's it is interesting though how every city has its own vibe, right? You know,
absolutely.
I mean, of course, Atlanta is known for a huge hip hop and blues rock kind of vibes. I guess when I was there in the '90s, a bunch, bands like Collective Soul and the Black Crowes were really obviously hitting it hard from the alternative rock and bluesy rock, southern rock, kind of
some
vibe.
of my favorites, man.
And
I'm such a music mutt. I like all of it. Like I love all of it. Seriously, huge fan of everything across the board. From hip hop to classic rock. I was raised on classic rock. My dad was a huge Allman Brothers and Leonard Skinner fan, but then Dad would leave the house and Mom would put on an Otis Redding record. So.
Now, did you grow up in Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Born and raised, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'm one of the few.
I was about to say. Here we go. That's great. So you've seen some growth there.
Yeah, but yeah.
Town just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
It's crazy.
So, I mean, what would you say percentage-wise the time you spend at home versus on the road singing your songs?
The past year and a half has been really intense. Well, past 3-4 years, I'd say probably 50-50. I'm on the road versus actually being at home and hanging out with my dog.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
About 50-50. That's a good solid percentage.
Yeah, it's a crazy lifestyle.
Now, are you one of those people who needs to set aside time to write, or do you write everywhere you go?
I thought that was a great question you asked Connor earlier, because being on the road for me, it's normally in a full band setting. So there's a lot of distractions as far as people and things. You got to be everywhere at a certain time, and it's bad decisions. For me, that's a difficult environment to write in. So I normally like to write in solitude when I've got peace and quiet and there's not chaos going on around me. Personal preference thing, I don't know if it works for everybody, but that's just my thing.
Now, this is, I guess, less about creative side, but I think more nuts and bolts, but it's something that I'm really curious about other people's process on is how do you organize these thoughts? I mean, do you record work tapes on your phone? Do you keep a list of your lyrics on a laptop? How do you organize what you're working on?
I mean, it's a weird combination of all that. Like when I first started writing songs, it was about a melody. Didn't even necessarily have to have words with it. It was just a melody that I heard in my head, and so I would do like a voice recording of that, and then try to match, lyrics to that, and obviously chord progressions and things like that. But it becomes, the more you get to know about music, it's kind of like the more you're screwed, because it's a little overwhelming. Like, what do I do with this? With it, like, how do I make the hook different than the verse, and how do I throw in a bridge and these kinds of things? You have 7 options, so you're a little limited there. But yeah, man, it changes for me constantly. But I still try to keep it simple as far as the process of even if I write a chord progression, I will record that chord progression and then record a melody over it with no words, so just kind of hum a melody. And then I go back and try to write lyrics to that.
That's a great method for sure. And you use your phone for that primarily?
I do. Now I do.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's what we have with us everywhere we go, so you might as well utilize it.
I know.
Right?
When these things crap out on me, I'm turned into a wreck. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do with all these thousands of thoughts that I had that I don't know what to do with?
Oh, that's
anymore.
That's a terrifying thought, to lose your phone in this day and age. If nothing else, just for losing all your thoughts.
Exactly.
All my hopes and dreams. So do you write solo most of the time?
My band for the past 10 years or so has been like a soul rock and reggae project. think they're shifting a little bit as far as songwriting. Definitely focused on more of a solo aspect lately. Just 'cause I'm getting old. It's hard to pay a band all the time, you know. And as musicians get older with me, you know, they need more money, and it's understandable. So it's hard to keep everybody fruitful on the road. So yeah, the shift lately has been more of a solo thing.
Yeah, I can totally understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
But there's such flexibility with just one guy, one guitar, out the door you go, hop on a plane or
Seems
a train
easy.
or automobile, and off
Yeah.
you go, and you can be, you know, pretty flexible that way.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Well, I'm dying to hear some more of your music. So how about singing some
So
song?
Daniel and I are kind of we're a couple.
Oh, this guy? You talking about this guy?
Package deal today.
So, do I tell the story about why this is going down the way it is? Daniel's one of my closest friends in the world, but he doesn't like to sing. So he knew I was going to be here this weekend, and he knew he was going to be a part of this panel, and he was like, "Hey, will you sing some of my songs for me?" But
You guys are welcome.
But this next tune we actually wrote together. Daniel and I wrote this song with a friend of ours, Christopher Henderson from Athens, Georgia. And it was covered last night by Mr. Matt Williams, who played last.
Mr. Matt put out his EP, was that a month ago?
Yeah, it was recent, yeah.
That dude debuted at number 7 on the country charts. That was pretty cool. I've never had that. I don't have Willie Nelson cuts, but I got a Matt Williams cut.
So yeah, this is called Country Bar Song. I feel like hang in this salty beer. Willie's whiskey river won't take my mind far enough from here, and I need a bird to sing me back home. 'Cause I'm a walking, talking, jukebox, honky-tonkin' country bar song. I woke up this morning waiting on the radio with the look on her face and an old suitcase told me she had to go. She's a good-hearted woman, I'm a good timing man. She don't like my smoking, my drinking, my staying out late, and my roughneck rowdy friends. I might sound like a broken record, oh, but here we go again. I feel like and it's salty beer. Willie's whiskey river won't take my mind far enough from here, and I need a bird to sing me back home. 'Cause I'm a walking, talking, jukebox, honky-tonkin' country bar song. Me and the boys, we don't always act right. My truck ended up in the front yard after I drove it through the fence that night. I took the John Deere to the packing store, but the police didn't like my idea. She wasn't putting up with anymore. I might sound like a broken record, oh, but here we go again. I feel like it's salty beer. Willie's whiskey river won't take my mind far enough from here, and I need a bird to sing me back home. 'Cause I'm a walking, talking, jukebox, honky-tonkin'. Oh, I feel like and this salty beer, and Willie's whiskey river won't take my mind far enough from here. I need a bird to sing me back home. 'Cause I'm a walking, talking jukebox on guitar, yeah. Country bar song.
All right.
Thank you.
And that's why he's here.
That's Anthony Crane, y'all singing, and that's a co-write with Mr. Daniel Collins. What a better segue into talking to you, Daniel.
Hello, Brian.
How are you, sir?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. So we met here last year
We did.
at the film festival, and right away I thought, this guy's a jerk. I never want to work with him again.
I thought the same thing the first time I met him.
I think the same thing.
No, of course, actually it was quite the opposite. I right away was taken away by your personality and your talent, and there was a young man who played on this stage last night by the name of Chase Brown, who you have written a lot of songs for, and matter of fact, you were playing guitar with him some last night. You were ripping it up on that electric guitar last night too. That was fun to see you doing that.
It's a
And
different ballgame for sure.
so you have spent a lot of time not only in the role of songwriter but producer as well.
Yeah.
With the
I own a studio out in Athens called Pigpen Studios since '02.
So I met Daniel, actually.
Yep.
He did my first record ever.
okay,
First one I ever recorded, yeah.
And then I kept him for a long time.
kept him around, and that was Pigpen. You said Pigpen Studios in Athens, Georgia. So running a studio is it's very, obviously it dovetails with the whole creative process. But when you're a producer, it's you're having to take a step back and see a bigger picture than just writing the song at that point, because you're thinking about all the instrumentation and the arrangement and everything that goes along with it. So that's a broad vision. So
I think they're kind of married in my head anyway. When I'm writing, I hear all that anyway.
so when you're writing a song, you're already thinking in terms of like, well, this is where the fiddle's going to come in, or this is where whatever might be happening.
I try to think that way, yeah. Eventually, that's what's got to happen anyway, so
Gotcha.
at least I hope that's what happens.
Very cool. I understand. And that's now what. So Chase Brown has been, I know, a muse for you because he's such an amazing singer, and
Yeah, go look that dude up.
yeah,
For real.
and I've experienced this some before when I've played guitar for some other singers myself. Is that when you hear that voice and you can hear it in your head, you can almost write to it. Is that something that's been a muse for you with Chase?
Yeah, I mean, Chase sounds the way that I sound in my head to me, but that's not what I sound like, so.
Oh, you sound
easy.
handsome.
And furry.
And of course, Anthony's no slouch here either. So
No, Ant and I were in a band forever.
Yeah, long time.
So yeah, same thing. I mean, the songwriting has definitely changed for me, because like he said, we were doing like the rock, reggae, soul thing, and now trying to do all the Nashville, the country songs. This fellow in the end, I get the luxury of writing with him. He's pretty awesome, Mr. Connor.
So Connor and you have written together quite a bit as well.
Yep.
Huh?
Yep.
And luck too, man. There's a lot of luck to it.
Yeah.
I found myself in 2013 with a #1 album on Billboard, a #1 song on CMT, 0 radio play, and no booking agent. You never know. It's just like it is. It's being like water and trying to find the next way around and not thinking. You're not thinking, well, I'm good. Why is this happening to me? We're all good. We're all good. And like, if you give into that urge to like feel sorry for yourself. I've done that a million times, and all it's done for me is waste time and like time I could have been working on something. And it's real easy to be like, well, to hell with this, and want to give up. But you got to persevere. You got to keep sticking to it. And if what you're doing is not working, try something else.
Absolutely, and it reminds me of the Willie Nelson story too. How many he got turned down by every publisher in this town, right? I mean, before someone finally. So it's yeah. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of luck involved, a lot of persistence. You got to be good, you got to be amazing, but you got to be more than that. You got to be a little bit lucky, and you got to be persistent.
Garth Brooks moved here, stayed here for like 5 years, gave up and moved back to his town, and then he came back, and he was Garth Brooks when he came back. So it's like sometimes you need to get your ass kicked to make you tougher,
That's the truth.
Indeed. Well, hey, don't want to miss out on the opportunity to hear a Daniel Collins song as well. So
We just did
Yeah, it's my turn.
I'm going to go to Connor.
But you didn't sing one.
I'm
He's
gonna.
not going
He's not
to.
gonna?
No, that's why.
Thought I could trick him into doing it. Okay, all right.
You guys just don't know.
Package deal over there.
Well, all right, so we're right back to Connor then. So, Connor, thank you for being here once again. And
Happy to be
I'll
here.
take up less time gabbing, but I wanted everybody to get an idea of who you were individually and what your creative process was. And
Cool.
Look forward to hearing just some more songs out of you guys for the rest of this segment. And I'm going to get out of the way and let you do your thing. So, thanks for being here, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, sir.
So this next one right here, yeah, big hand for Brian, y'all.
Don't you think this dude should be like a DJ for real?
So I just turned 40 this year, and I write with a lot of people that are like 22 and 23, and sometimes I find I have a daughter that's about to turn 22, and so I have a hard time sometimes putting myself in the mindset. When I was young, I was what I would refer to as a serial monogamous. I had a girlfriend, and then I had another girlfriend with zero time in between. I fell in love like constantly, you know, I thought every girl I met I was in love with. And then I look at my daughter and her friends, and it's like the exact opposite. And I watched this guy like chase her for years through college and just chase after her. And finally he had to like almost like grab her by the shoulders and be like, hey, I'm really interested in you, you know. And she's like, oh, serious? Like, for real? Yeah, more than Netflix and chill. So, anyway, so I kind of wrote this song thinking about being somebody like that, and just like trying to tell somebody, like, no, really, like, I like you a lot. I'm really serious. Sorry, I'm just getting over something. So, get a little drink of water here. But anyway. All the other writers on this record have had a big year, so I have a feeling that this one's going to be my big year, and this is going to be on our new record. Anyway, it's called "Up on Your Love." So girl, this ain't a drunk text. Hell, I ain't even drunk yet. I ain't looking for a late night kiss. Now there's a little more to this. So if you're coming over, you should stay over. 'Cause I know right where I wanna be lying. When that first light hits the horizon, you're like a hummingbird singing a song outside of the window. That Sunday morning sunrise kissing the pillow. You're that smile that opens up my eyes. I can't get enough of waking up on your love. Waking up on your love. To you with no makeup, wearing nothing but your hair up. I'm wide awake and thinking about what you might be dreaming. Girl, I can't sleep when you're next to me. Every little minute, I don't want to miss it. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. You're like that hummingbird singing a song outside of the window. That Sunday morning sunrise kissing the pillow. You're that smile that opens up my eyes. I can't get enough of waking up on your love. Waking up on your love. We can lay with each other till the shadows disappear. When the moon goes down, I wanna be right here. Waking up on your love. Waking up on your love. You're like that hummingbird singing a song outside of the window. That Sunday morning sunrise kissing the pillow. You're that smile that opens up my eyes. I can't get enough of waking up on your love. waking up on your love. Oh, I'm waking up on your love.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, yeah.
All right. Well, I wrote this next song with my buddy Guy Clark. He passed away last year. Still hard for me to think about sometimes. But we were writing this song. I had this idea about writing a song about fixing up an old car. And I showed it to Guy, and we started working on it. And we worked on it for about a day or so. And I played it. I played him what we had. I said, "What's it missing? You know, what's wrong with it?" And he goes, "It's a little too sweet." And I went, "Yeah, I kind of think so too. A little too cute." And fixing up an old car is like a manly thing, you know. And so he said, "I think we ought to make it, you know, dirtier." And I was like, "All right." So a few minutes later, he said, "Who says flat black don't shine?" Just sort of something he thought of. And as soon as he said that, I went, "That's our song right there." So anyway, it goes like this. I'm like an old 68 Firebird on blocks in the backyard. It's gonna take blood, sweat, and beer. It's gonna take work. It's gonna be hard. It's rusted out and beat up, just like me. Just needs a little love, sweat, and elbow grease. But she's still working on me. She's at it all the time. Yeah, she's still working on me. Yeah, who says flat black don't shine? I'm a labor of love beneath an old shade tree. Crack in the driver's side window, hole in the bucket seat. Just an old moonshine rocket. She takes me as I am, 'cause all she can see is a badass Trans Am. And she's still working on me. She's at it all the time. Yeah, she's still working on me. Yeah, who says flat black don't shine? Yeah, but mama's gonna ride in style. Yeah, and she don't mind if it takes a little while. 'Cause she's still working on me. She's at it all the time. And she's still working on me. Yeah, who says flat black don't shine. Yeah, who says flat black don't shine? Thank you.
You want to talk about this one?
I can. So this is gonna be weird because this happened on the road with this dude. He's normally not sitting beside me when I tell his story, but I'm gonna tell it anyway.
Now I'm nervous.
So this one, he and I were on the road for, in those days, it was not 50-50, or it didn't feel like 50-50 anyway.
Yeah.
We were on the road more
Constantly.
than we were home. There entered this human into my life who then was literally in a hotel room, and all I could think about was trying to go home. And the idea of the Gideon Bibles, if you travel a bunch in hotel rooms, they're always there, right? So that's where this song idea came from, was the thought process of that being the centerpiece of how you don't want that anymore. Or at least you could find another way to be happy. Besides stupid hotel rooms.
It's a love song. He don't want to say that.
Shh.
I've been on the road so long, I don't know any other way. Ever since you came around, found the light of a different day. Counting paces since the last I saw your face, and baby, I know just where I stand. You give in bed, you giving home to a life that's just been rambling. Been burning out alone in a life I know will soon be gone. No small bottles and Gideon's Bibles. See all my circling thoughts through the light of a smoking room. I hear her face, this woman laugh. I swear to God, I think it's you. Been counting traces of the outlines of your face, and baby, I know just where I stand. You give in bed, you give in home to a life that's just been rambling. I've been burning out alone in a life I know will soon be gone. No more small bottles and Gideon's Bibles. Watch as the lights go low, like a curtain of my despair. I look around every corner, but I know that you're not there. I wanna come home, home. I wanna come home, I wanna come home. I wanna come home, home. I wanna come home. You give in bed, you give in home to a life that's just been rambling. Been burning out alone in a life I know will soon be gone. No more small bottles and Gideon's Bible in bed. Whoa. All right, so I'm gonna borrow Daniel's guitar for this last tune of mine. So then I'm gonna do a different song. I don't think I can. Can you mute him so I can just unplug him? This will be easier than trying to do this. All right, so I wrote this song with the two guys I probably I write with the most. Thanks, man. Mason Thornley and Keith Hetrick, and Keith's had a couple of number ones this year, so I'm feeling pretty good about this one. I think this one's gonna do real well for us. All right, the song's called Past Midnight. Keeps ticking, we keep talking, don't know where this is heading, but I know one thing, you could be home right now, you could check down, went back to your couch, you could be winding down, instead of losing sleep. It's a little past midnight, must be something going alright. You're still sitting by my side, burning moonlight. We keep this thing going on and on. Your lips fit real good against my lips. It's like we're on our own island. I could spend my whole life loving you past midnight. Oh, 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 oh. And the clock's still ticking. The drink's still pouring. It's getting later and later and later, but we just ignore it. You could be home right now. You could check down, went back to your couch. You could be winding down instead of losing sleep. It's a little past midnight, must be something going alright. You're still sitting by my side, burning moonlight. We keep this thing going on and on. Your lips fit real good against my lips. It's like we're on our own island. I could spend my whole life loving you past midnight. Past midnight. If this was nothing, then we wouldn't still be here. No, we wouldn't still be here. It's a little past midnight, must be something going alright. You're still sitting by my side, burning moonlight. We keep this thing going on and on. Your lips fit real good against my lips. It's like we're on our own island. I could spend my whole life loving you past midnight. Oh, 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 loving you past midnight. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, I'm loving you past midnight. Oh, 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 loving you past midnight. Oh, 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 oh. Thank you. Of course.
I can hear that on the radio.
Me too, man.
Billy Currington, somebody like that.
Thank you.
If that wasn't the cutest thing ever.
All right. Well, I wrote this with my friend Joe Leathers and Guy Clark. And Guy recorded this. And Kenny Chesney recorded it twice. It was the title track to his 2014 album. And then he put it on a live album that he made, and I found out about that on Facebook. I was like, "Oh, here, Kenny Chesney's got a new album," and I looked on, "Oh, my song's on there," you know. So,
Don't be worried, man. That's how people break up these days.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if it couldn't get any better than that, they made a Guy Clark tribute album a few years ago, and my friend Sean Camp was producing the record, and he called me one day and said, "We're making this record, and we got all these famous songwriters that we've asked to pick their favorite Guy Clark song for this tribute record." And he said, "And Chris Christopherson wants to do your song." And so I said, "Man, don't call me this early in the morning and mess with me." I said, "I hadn't had my coffee yet." And he said, "No, I'm for real." He said, "I want you to be there." He said, "As a matter of fact, why don't you come like an hour early, and you can teach the band the song, and then when Chris gets there, we'll be ready to go." So I said, "All right." So I came an hour early, and we rehearsed everything, got everything just right. And Chris was running a little late, and Sean said, "You know, there's 2 versions of this song already. What if we change the intro up a little bit on this just to make it different?" So I said, "That's a pretty good idea." So we added 4 bars to the intro and changed around a chord or 2 and rehearsed that and had everything perfect. And Chris got there, and it was time for him to sing, and the band kicked it off, and everything was just right, except we forgot to tell Chris that we had changed the intro. So it kept coming in too soon. Like 5 times he came in too soon. And so after that, he pointed at me and said, "Would you come in here?" I said, "Sure." He said, "You wrote this song, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You think you could just stand right here next to me and tap me on the shoulder when it's time for me to sing?" And I said, "Sure." I thought I was in trouble, you know. So I was standing there like this, like a little boy. And the song kicked off, and it hit me. I'm standing in the vocal booth with Chris Christopherson, and it was surreal. So I tapped him on the shoulder, and it went a little something like this. Oh, shit. Can I borrow your capo?
Yes, sir.
All right. Suspense. Okay. Hemingway's whiskey, warm and smooth and mean. Even when it burns, it'll always finish clean. He didn't like it watered down, he took it straight up and neat. Feels bad enough for him, you know it's bad enough for me. Hemingway's whiskey. Oh, it's tough out there. A good muse is hard to find. Living one word to the next, one line at a time. Oh, but there's more to life than whiskey. There's more to words and rhyme. But sometimes nothing works. Sometimes nothing shines like Hemingway's whiskey. Sail away, 3 sheets to the wind. Live hard and die hard, this one's for him. Hemingway's whiskey, warm and smooth and mean. Even when it burns, it'll always finish clean. Didn't like it watered down, he took it straight up in need. Feels bad enough for him, you know it's bad enough for me. Hemingway's whiskey.
Ray Stevenson.
So this next one, my wife is making me play. She said, stop playing slow shit. So,
Oh, sad ass.
sad ass. Sometimes we get sad, and then other times we feel old. And I wrote this song with a good buddy of mine here in Nashville. I think you guys know him. He's on the other end, down there.
His name's Connor.
His name's Connor. This one's called Too Old to Die Young, and it's about the bad decisions he was talking about earlier as well. And I don't know how in the hell I'm still alive.
Used to go out on the town and bark at the moon. Me and the fellas could drink, stay up till noon. Women were hot and the beers were cold. I thought I'd never make it to 30 years old. That was so many years ago. I'm just too damn old to die young. Fat lady gang song. I'm just lucky to be here. So many times my time should have come. The crazy things that I've done. There's no way I should be here. And now I'm too damn old to die young. I still love ice cold beer on my wife's side. I just can't drink quite as much, so to hell with them shots. And living ain't quite as easy to do. Stay up late, gotta nap around too. But it's true, I'm too damn born to die young. Fat lady gang song. I'm just lucky to be here. So many times my time should have gone. The crazy things that I've done. There's no way I should be here. And now I'm too damn born to die young. Oh, I'm too damn born to die young. Every now and then I think about those days. If I could do it again, you know I wouldn't change a thing. Cause I'm too damn born to die young. That fake lady ain't song. I'm just lucky to be here. Many times my time should have come. The crazy things that I've done. There's no way I should be here. Yet I'm too damn old to die young. Oh, I'm too damn old to die young. Oh, I'm too damn old to die young. Oh, I'm too damn old to die young.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I guess
right.
you guys got questions? You want to talk? Anything? Anybody got something to say?
Anybody?
Besides my babbling ass?
What was that? From the back? Was barely past 11 when my pills kicked in. The Cabernet didn't hurt my cause as I stumbled down the road. Not even half as drunk as these strangers I passed, stumbling in and out of bars as they smoke cigars and laugh. Well, I don't even think anyone's from here anymore. Well, it's pouring in sheets down on the bayou, and we're dancing out in the quarter under the lamps. Red wine and codeine are coursing through our veins. Those bad 3 a.m. decisions I was talking about.